Welcome to the channel. My name is Grizzy, and today I'm bringing you guys an updated Season 9 settings video to help you to be more successful and win more games in Season 9. There's also going to be a lot of new players joining in with the new hype with arenas, so I thought it would be perfect to start off with this settings video to help you guys out. Now, if you all are new to the channel, you might be thinking, who is this guy? This guy is probably trash. But guys, I've been able to hit Apex Predator multiple times on PC, so you know, my opinion, it does hold a little weight, and I can give you guys recommendations that are going to be beneficial to all controller players for you guys to find that perfect setup. In addition to the settings in game, I'm also going to cover the most talked about question or comment that I always get on my videos, and I see it every single day. I get the same comment: Grizzy, how are you moving and looting? Aren't you on controller? Well, stick around, guys. I'm going to show you guys exactly how I move and loot on controller and give you guys some specific techniques and that perfect setup for Apex to keep you with that crispy movement so you can always stay mobile in Apex. All right, guys, if you're new, make sure you subscribe to the channel for future Apex Legends content. We are going to have so much Season 9 content. It's not even funny. It's going to be so much fun. You guys are going to really enjoy it, so trust me. Hit that sub button, and hey, let's get into this video. So first off, in order to get the best movement, we're going to want to talk controller button layout, and Apex makes it really easy for you to customize your button layout. This makes it very simple for you to be able to have your right thumb on your right thumbstick at all times. You want to be able to jump and look around. You want to be able to do all these movement techniques while still having your right thumb on that analog. Now me, I use an Xbox Elite controller. You could use just a simple regular controller or a scuff, or any of those controllers with paddles. I just prefer the Xbox Elite, and I use 3 paddles. I use 1 paddle for crouch, 1 paddle for jump, and then I also use a 3rd paddle for interact. We are going to talk about how to loot and still move on controller, and there are 3 different ways to pull off this technique. The first technique is to simply run at the box. It's really important to keep your right thumb on that analog so you can continue to look at the box, and then you press your interact button while you're still sprinting. It also helps if you have auto sprint on for this first method. The second method is extremely important for armor swaps. This is going to be really crucial for you to have that interact button where you can access that and still have access to your right thumbstick so you can look at the box while you are in midair. With both of these clips, I'm jumping and I'm quickly grabbing the armor swap. Make sure that your analog speed, your cursor speed is pretty high so that you can make this swap in midair, and it's going to be very beneficial in fights. Last but not least, the third method. This is how you move inside once you are in a death box. I was inspired by the GOAT himself, Snipe Down. He picked up a pair of 3 pedals that you can utilize in your game today. I can have the link in the description below so that you guys can check these out on Amazon. They're pretty cheap. And what you can do with these pedals is you can bind the left one with A and the right one with D, and then I have the middle paired with R. That way I can reload if I'm facing a door without opening the door, or I can reload while I have a down squad mate right in front of me without having to revive that down squad mate. Now, I'm not a professional player. I don't know if this technique is going to be allowed in competitive play, but I just play for fun and to compete with the best players in the world on PC. So this is just something little that I'm really excited to add to my gameplay, and you guys can too. So now we will get into the specifics with the settings, and I'm going to mainly cover the most important things that you guys should look out for and that you guys should try out for yourself in order to improve your gameplay. First off, if you are going to be playing Valkyrie, which I highly suggest you do, you want to go to this new setting here. It's called Jetpack Control. Now, personally, I find it way more effective to toggle this on to hold. It's going to help you to be able to pull off things like wall jumps, changing direction in midair, and kind of just tapping and kind of changing direction while you're in midair with Valkyrie. So once again, I can just hold my jump button and I'm going to go into flight mode with Valk. And this is going to allow me to be able to do things like wall jump with Valk. If you have this on toggle, it is going to be a little bit more difficult to kind of pull this thing off, but you can do some cool stuff with it, like wall jump into the jetpack and the plays are unlimited. Honestly, love this character. Next up, we have interact prompt style. Personally, I keep this on default. I don't really find that this, necessarily gets in the way too much for me. It's just going to show a little bit extra information where you get that larger gray box. This is really personal preference. If you have it on compact, again, you're going to see which exact item you're picking up. It's just going to be much smaller and a little bit cleaner, but I just find it easier to kind of pick up items with that big, default box popped up. That's just me. That's just what I play with. After that, we have crosshair damage feedback. I have this set to off. If you have this set to X with a shield icon, you're going to see that X and you're going to see purple glow on the target. Once you use just the X, again, that crosshair damage feedback is going to be visible, but you know what? That's going to throw off your aim potentially. You're going to lose sight of that target. So I play with this off. That way I can just see the target and I don't have to worry about that X popping up on my screen. Next up, damage numbers. We want these on stacking. If you have these as floating, you have to do a lot of different math in your head. It's a lot easier to just tell your teammates. If you put this on stacking, which I do, it's a lot easier to relay to your teammates what and how much damage you actually did to somebody. Like, oh, I did 140 to Bloodhound, 140. You don't have to calculate math mid-fight because you know what? Math is hard. After that, I keep my weapon auto cycle on empty. I have that turned off because I change my weapon whenever it runs out of ammo anyway. I have auto sprint set to on. That way I don't really smash my controller and I don't really ruin my controller. And at the same time, you're able to kind of inspect your heirlooms. Say you're playing Wraith. If you're able to auto sprint, you can do things like spin your kunai while you're running around. Just something cool, just something to style on people with, you know what I'm saying? And then another huge thing, you want to have taking damage closes death box or crafting menu. You want this set to off. If you have this set to on, this is one of the most critical things that I see new players still have on. You want to have this off because, if you're taking damage, you want to be able to still grab that armor swap inside of the death box. So make sure that this setting is turned off. Now with colorblind mode, I play with Tritonopia. Really, for me, it mainly just changes my reticle. My reticle, if you can see here, changes to yellow with Tritonopia. Only other things that are really going to be changed are things like Watson pylons. Instead of the enemy pylons being red, they're going to be yellow for you. So yeah, I just play on Tritonopia and I really like this setting. Next up, for controller, I kind of already talked about my button layout. I do have it on button puncher, but I do play with 3 paddles, 1 for interact, 1 for jump, and 1 for crouch. That way I can crouch spam. You want to be able to still move your reticle and still move your aim while you're crouching. That's huge in this game. You want to be able to crouch spam. And then you also want to be able to jump and aim at the same time. So I like those 2 paddles. Unless you're playing claw, 2 paddles I think are pretty much needed for some high level play. Another thing, I do like to keep my X button or my interact on a paddle. That way I can loot fast. So if I'm running by loot, I can kind of turn my head. I can also do some other cool things with that. Keeping my interact on a paddle will allow me to do some different zipline tricks where I'm able to kind of juggle on the zipline. So look into putting your interact button on a paddle if you have access to it. If you do not have paddles, I highly recommend trying Evolved as a controller preset. It's just going to allow you to have jump as LB, so you can still aim while you're jumping. You're going to be able to crouch by clicking on the right stick, so you're going to be able to still crouch spam and aim your weapon as well. And then your tactical ability is just A, so you're just going to have to get used to it that way. I have my survival slot button set to off so that I can spin the kunai or any heirloom that I'm using. My trigger dead zones are set to none. Menu cursor speed is this high, that way I can get quick armor swaps. I don't want it to be too high where I can't control it, but that's where I have it set. My look sensitivity is set to 5 and my ADS sensitivity is set to 4. When you're looking at your look sensitivity, you want it to either be a 4, 5, or 6, especially on PC, because you're going to want to be able to compete against those mouse and key players that are quickly able to, do 360-degree turns with just a swipe of their arm. So you kind of want this a little bit higher, that way you can keep tracking your targets while you're not aiming in. My per optic settings are all still set to default. My response curve is classic. Look dead zone is none. I do have a new controller, so it doesn't really have a lot of stick drift, but if you're starting to get stick drift, you can set this to small. Movement dead zone set to small, inverted look off, vibration off. You need to play with vibration off. That way you don't have those additional variables that could affect your gameplay or could affect your aim. Then quickly, I'll just kind of scroll through my video settings. This is just dependent on your PC, you know, and how many frames your PC can put out. So I'll just kind of quickly scroll down through these for you guys. Alright guys, so there are my settings for Apex Legends Legacy. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, if you learned something new. Also, ask me questions in the comment section. I will be answering any questions that you guys have regarding settings or even regarding Apex in general. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm Grizzy, and I'm out. Peace!